Is it really possible to mix surround sound using a home theater system, also known as an audiovisual receiver? Well, as it turns out, it's actually pretty simple. It's much simpler than I thought, and I was quite surprised to find out that not many people were talking about this because this is definitely the most affordable way to mix surround sound at home. And well, luckily for you, I'm going to show you how to do exactly that, step by step. And it's actually a little bit complicated once we get to setting it up on the computer side. That's where most people fail, and probably why not many people are talking about it, because it just requires some engineering, but that's what I'm here for. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're like, just in a little bit actually, I'm gonna show you the exact signal chain, so how we get basically the audio out of the computer, which in our case is gonna be a Mac, and how we get that to output out of your DAW in real time. So that's gonna be the end goal. And so yeah, so that's coming up in just a bit. But before we get started, I want to invite you to take a look at the description box. Not right now, okay? But if you're in a rush, you can go ahead and do that. But you will miss out on valuable information, so keep that in mind. But if you go in the description and you click on the link, okay, it will give you access to a 5.1 surround sound template for Pro Tools that I have personally created, which is basically going to be set up the way we're going to be setting it up today. So if you were going to open that session, and technically it should be plug and play, technically, but depending on the audiovisual receiver that you're using, and if you're in 7.1 or any, you know what I mean? Like, I would still rather that you stick around till the end of the video and actually learn how to do this yourself if ever you had to. That way you actually understand how it works. That way, if you're ever in front of a client one day and it's not working for some reason, you don't panic, okay? So you're actually gonna know how to get yourself out of a pickle. So up to you, but it's in the description if you need it. So now we're gonna be going into the live cam, and we're gonna actually show you what it looks like, from my perspective. So let's get into that. All right, so now we are moving down to the actual audiovisual receiver. This is the one that I'm using. It's a 5.1 surround sound Yamaha, home theater system. I'll leave a link in the description to that if you want to check out the exact model that I'm using for, exact results. So basically what I'm doing is I am outputting the HDMI from this Kensington Thunderbolt dock, which I will also leave a link to in the description. And I am outputting that straight to the HDMI input of this AVS, of which it has 4, if I'm not mistaken. And what it has a HDMI out called, HDMI ARC. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna use that one. In this case, I only have one HDMI output. And you're gonna go ahead and connect it to your external monitor if you have one. In my case, it's this 60-inch TCL TV. This is optional. You might not actually have an external monitor or use one, or you might connect it differently. Regardless, it is possible to do this. And actually, you're gonna see in the computer, it's going to detect the television. It won't detect the actual Yamaha amplifier, because when we do HDMI ARC, it actually just detects the last device in the daisy chain. So once again, it's HDMI out from the Thunderbolt dock or whatever HDMI output you have on your computer to the audiovisual receiver, and then it's going to be audiovisual receiver HDMI out to whatever monitor you're using if you're using one. So that's all there is to set up in regards to hardware. Like I said, it's actually super simple. Now we're gonna go ahead and take care of the software side of things, which is where it gets a little bit more challenging. So let's go ahead and see what that's all about. So now that we've gone over the actual hardware, the physical setup, now we can go ahead and configure all of this in what we call the Audio MIDI setup, which is a default application that comes with every Mac. If you're using Windows, shame on you. No, I'm just kidding. But it'll probably work on Windows. You got like what is it called? The sound panel, or I don't know. It's been a while since I used one of these machines. But anyways, in Mac it's called Audio MIDI Settings. And if you can't find it, you just go in your applications, you search Audio MIDI Setup. Okay, this is what I have open right now. And as you can see over here, we have basically all the inputs and outputs and devices that we got, virtual and physical. And as it turns out, most of these are virtual, and there's probably a little too much. So like, you know, I'll have to clean that up at some point. Especially this one, Microsoft, not good. No, I'm kidding, guys. I'm just kidding. But anyways, and maybe I'm not kidding. But anyways, so let's go into this one over here, because in my case, this is the television, okay? So if you're doing the HDMI ARC like I'm doing, it will detect the device that is at the end of that daisy chain. So in this case, it's the television, TCL 65S, whatever. That's what it is. But why does it say it has 8 outputs? You know, see over here, it says 8 outputs. We thought it was 6 outputs. It's 5.1, right? Well, actually, it combines all the available outputs. So we can't forget about the 2, or rather the double output of the television, which is stereo. So it counts those as outputs as well. And they can be used if you want in creative ways. But, you know, I don't recommend it because, you know, it's not that kind of, you know, not high fidelity speakers on the computer. Anyways, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually go into the format and double check. By default, I don't remember what mine was set to, but in your case, just make sure it's the one with the most outputs. Set it to 24-bit, 48 kilohertz, 44.1, whatever you got. But case over here, we're doing Pro Audio, so it's 48 kilohertz. That's the industry standard. And once that's done, that's perfect. Let's go and test it out. So let's go and configure speakers. You right-click that device. Got a little cool 3D model here. It's fun to spin it around. But anyways, so getting back to business, you see over here, so you can go click. I'm not going to do it now because I'm actually monitoring through here. Not going to hear anything, but you click each one of these speaker icons and make sure that everything is coming out of the right place, which it should by default. We can only hope, but if it doesn't, you know, you can actually just reroute. In my case, I didn't have to, so hopefully you don't. If you do, do what you got to do. But that's it. So now we're going to go into Pro Tools, okay? Because technically right now, if you're going to put a film and it's in 5.1, you're going to click on it, it's going to output, it will sound beautiful, it will work. But in Pro Tools, it might not. So we got to make sure these crucial settings are going to be in place. So like I said, let's get into Pro Tools. All right, so now we're in Pro Tools, and I've gone ahead and opened up the I/O matrix, which you can find in the taskbar on top. You go under Setup, you'll see I/O, which stands for Input Output. But before doing that, the preliminary step is actually setting your playback device, which you also have under Setup, to the device that we're working with. So whatever yours is called, the 5.1 home theater system, shall we call it, select that one. That's your playback device from now on. So as you can see in my case, I renamed it 5.1 surround. The format is 5.1. And here we are with our 6 different channels. Yours might not look like this though. It might be LCR or LRC or whatever, because we actually have 2 5.1 standards. One is called ITU and the other one is called film. I can't remember which one is there by default, but either way, in my case, this is the trouble I had, is everything was firing out of the wrong speaker for some reason. I was playing stuff in Pro Tools and like, why is, you know, stuff that's supposed to be coming out of the left coming out of the right, surround, and it's like, what was going on? So I had to do some tests. I put an audio track and I, panned it full circle. And I move things around. So if you want to move things around, you just select one and you can see. So like that. So it's like a puzzle. So we did the puzzle. And as it turned out, this was the correct configuration. And that I'm not quite sure why. This is not even a particular standard, or maybe it is. I don't know. But not the ones that we're used to anyway. So this is what's going to be in that template I refer to later. So if you download it, it'll already be set up for this. And if that doesn't work for you, then don't use the template, and maybe it'll work right out of the box for you. Who knows? Regardless, you need to know how to diagnose this and if there's ever a problem to fix it. So this is really where the engineering comes in, and this is the part you should actually be paying attention to the most. So just make sure that this is good, play around with it and then test it out at the end, put the audio file. Assuming everything works, just make sure everything is, that's if it's, in your 5.1 panner, set to left, that it's coming out of the left, and then you go full circle, and then you put a sub frequency sound, and you want to make sure everything is working before you actually start working on projects, because troubleshooting then is going to be a lot more difficult. So anyways, that's pretty much all there is to it. So let's close this video up. All right, so I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you're now capable of mixing in surround sound in the most affordable way possible. It could even be the best way possible, because some of these 5.1 amps, they're pretty good, especially if you got a good set of speakers. It's good stuff to be working with. I mean, it's not super flat. I mean, it's not the best of the best in regards to fidelity, but I mean, if you just want to get a general sense of what it would sound like, just not necessarily for mixing for sound quality, but rather for levels, then you can go ahead and set yourself up this, impress your clients, impress your friends, impress your family. But anyways, so if you want to hear more about these 5.1 and surround sound setups, and if this is a bit overwhelming for you and you would like to gain more expertise in this field, make sure to hit the subscribe button, because I already have a lot of videos. Okay, so we already have a lot of videos on the channel in regards to this. And one in particular I'm going to leave a link to right now, because as it turns out, you'll actually get better results mixing 5.1 using headphones. So if you're wondering, wait, how can you mix 5.1 with headphones? Anyways, it explains everything in that video, so go check it out. And there's nothing more affordable. Well, it'll cost you a plugin, but it's okay. It's the best plugin that I've used for that kind of thing. So anyways, I'm not going to talk more about that. This is the end of the video. Remember to check out that 5.1 surround sound template if you haven't. It's got some other goodies in there to help you get set up in your film, TV mixing journey. And like I said, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll try to help you as best as I can, but if you're gonna go ahead and use things that I'm not recommending, because I'm recommending the Thunderbolt dock and the audiovisual receiver, the exact same one that I'm using, you can find them in the description. So there's no reason why you would be having mistakes. So if you followed everything to the teeth and you're now mixing in 5.1, I wish you the best. Let us know how it worked out for you, and we will see you in the next video.